Hey guys, we are live and we are working on a work order system for a garage. We have been for quite a while now. And if you are on my channel, let me share my screen a little better here so you guys can see this better. So if you're on my channel for quite a while now, and I'm gonna mute myself there so we don't hear that. Okay, so if you're on my channel, you go to playlist, you're gonna find a playlist for, let's see here, PowerApps work order system application walkthrough. So if we go in there, Chris going to start playing it. What I want to do is I want to show you the playlist, not particularly the video, the first video in the playlist. Okay, so we have quite a few videos here, as you can see, and a lot of these are an hour long. And I built out this system screen by screen. And if you've been following my channel for a while, you're very familiar with this. So I am about to release a new video probably here tomorrow or this next week. It's already recorded, it's already edited. I just need to do one or two more final touches on it, and I will be able to release it. And that is about how to gather requirements. So the project that we're going to focus on as an example is going to be this project. Okay, and if you want a good walkthrough so far of what the application does, there is this video number 9, says how to build a work order system for a garage. And what I do is I sort of step through each of the screens up to that point before we get to the gallery and a gallery. And we have had a previous live stream, a week or two on that, where I sort of step through how to create that pop-up screen, that mobile screen that pops up for a technician. And also we worked on the print screen as well. So this is a real application I'm building for a real client as a freelancer. And I met with him this last week, and he had a few changes and pointed out some things that he would like changed. So I thought was, and I mostly work on this type of work on the weekends. It's really the only time I have any free time to do this type of stuff. So actually turned down a lot of freelancing work. If you didn't catch my freelancing live stream, you might want to check that out. So again, if you go to my channel here, and then you go to, if you scroll down on all my videos, it says past live streams. You can see here at the very bottom. Yeah, so how to make money with PowerApps freelancing. And if you ever want a quick way of finding my channel within YouTube, instead of doing a search for PowerApps tutorial, I thought that was a good thing to name a channel if it was about PowerApps and people always looking for tutorials. So that's what my thinking was, but that doesn't necessarily bring up my channel. If you do a search for Darren Neese, you're going to find my channel fairly quickly. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, let's jump into these revisions. Okay, so we have PowerApps open right here with this particular application, and I'm going to go to the Office Admin Home. I'm already logged on as myself. So there's a lot of features that you can, a lot of screens that you can access as an application administrator, or in this case, an office admin. So they have a garage, a service center. So people bring in their cars to be serviced. So if you think of oil changes and tire rotations, or to get new tires put on, all kinds of different things, AC repair, AC service. There's actually 100 or 2 different services. In fact, if you go over here into job types, you can see all the different types of jobs that they have here. Okay, there are quite a few. So right now there's 136. Okay, and so I wanted to show you that. Now, one of the first things that he pointed out for the customer screen, and I actually used it for the thumbnail. So all these customers, this is all test data here. So I'm going to just go into the and here before I actually have him, I turn this application over to him to actually start using for real. I'll be putting his name and logo in here, but I wanted to keep it generic just for these training videos. But so in this particular screen, what he noticed is he was playing around with it, is he was entering data, and he would use tab. Users typically use tabs on their keyboard to move from field to field. And whenever he was on this particular field, he hit tab, and it would actually go all the way over to year. And that's really how tabbing works within PowerApps. Unless you mess with any type of containers, which is the preferred and recommended way. If you don't have any containers, it's going to go in a Z pattern. So it's going to start up in the upper left, and it's going to go across, and then it's going to go down to the next line and then go across. So like how you would read a book. Okay, so if you think of a screen in an application that's a one-page Like if you're reading a book, you're looking at a single page, let's say on the left side, it's going to go across. Okay. And if you have two separate containers within PowerApps, you could separate those out. Now, a quick and easy way, if you didn't use containers as you're separating things out, what you do is you go in here and you can actually modify the controls within PowerApps have a tab index, and they're always going to be set to 0 by default for all the controls in your application. And if you don't want the tab to be stopped at that control, what you want to do is set that to a -1. Okay. Now, what you could do is you set the first one. Let's say this is the first one. They'll probably just click into, or they'll use the tab. So this will be the first one. If you set this up, I've got the tab index to 1. Okay. So as I was doing that, this is actually where I had the idea. It's like, I'm going through these revisions. This would probably be some cool stuff that I would want to show my viewers here on YouTube, because, as we're closing up the application, we're getting close to handing over this application to the client. We might be doing some service, some support, some software support on the application for a good month or two. But if there's no new issues that come up, then typically sort of phase out unless they desire some more changes or some more support. Then I would extend that. But as I was doing this, I was thinking to myself, oh, this might be good to show my viewers on YouTube, because a lot of you are interested in freelancing. And I noticed that with the polls that I did. So I wanted to sort of let you in on that. And so you could see the type of things that I deal with as I freelance. You're going to get revision requests. Absolutely. And so as you move around through each of these fields, so I've named this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, so on and so forth. And down here is 10. The button is 11. And then I did these as well. So yeah, 12, 13, and so on. Okay. And it's probably a good idea to actually put in a tab index for these buttons down here. So this should be, I didn't do that. Let's do a 19 and perhaps a 20. And you know what? If you're ever modifying, perhaps adding a field somewhere, let's say we got city, state, zip. Let's say you forgot the state. What you could do if you had city at 6 and you named zip as 7, you could put in a 6.5 for state. So the tab index will accept decimal values. So just want to let you guys know about that. So that's sort of helpful. As people are used to using, entering data, as a software developer, a lot of times you're not used to entering data how users would. They're responsible for entering hundreds or thousands of records. So what you'll see a lot of times, people will want to use that tab key, even though you don't, maybe you didn't think about it. They will notice that and they will speak up like, hey, why is this tab order going all the way across the screen when it should just be staying here? So that's always something that you might actually want to have a checklist, or maybe a checklist is a good idea for me to have that I could share with you guys. Maybe a cheat sheet or a PDF where I could share with you guys like a checklist of, okay, well, you're working on a screen. Have you done this? Have you done this? Do you have a weight spinner? So when you do a database operation, do you have that there? Do you have your tab index set up? So you've got a good sense that this screen is nice and polished before you turn it over to the user to look at, poke at, or to actually start using. So that would be a good idea. Now, you know what I did in the previous live stream from yesterday? Let's go take a look at this. So if I go down to past live streams, I have got this video here, and as soon as it comes up, I'm going to mute it because I don't want to hear it. All right, it's already muted, so I'm going to pause that. And if you haven't seen it, this is I've attached the link up here to the top. Okay, and what I created was a MS form, so you guys could enter any type of video ideas. Okay. Short description: create checklist for screen development. My name is Darren. So I'm showing you this because if you guys ever have an idea of something that you'd like to see in the live streams, any video ideas you'd like me to cover, please click on this link for this form, enter this stuff, and it'll actually be entered into my SharePoint list. And then I've got a front end PowerApps application that I'll be using myself to actually see those values and to manage those and prioritize them and plan those out. And that's actually what we covered yesterday. So if you want to check that out, check this out. It's actually the live stream that I had a Doctor Strange image as the thumbnail. Okay, I'll put in my email address. And then here, I'm going to start that off with this. Create a checklist for screen development. For example, make sure tab order is set up. Spinners are on the screen and Z order is set. What I mean by Z order, if you ever studied algebra in high school, the x-axis within a graph is right to left, it's horizontal, and the y-axis is up and down, okay, or vertical. And then you had a z-axis, which was a plane or a line in the middle that was the back and forth, the depth, okay? So if you have a spinner, I have a few times I've touched on spinners or load or weight screens within PowerApps. If you do a search within my list of videos, you'll find that. But if you have a spinner control, an animation that shows up whenever you do a database operation, it always needs to be on top. Okay, you always want it to be on top. And if you ever do any type of screen development, you start adding more controls, you always want to make sure it's on top. So that would be another thing that before you say a screen's done, you need to make sure and do this. So eventually, I'm going to add this to my list here, and then this will email me and let me know that there's a video idea. So anyway, I thought I'd mention that. I thought it was a good idea, and if I don't do it now, I'd probably forget. So, and that was the whole purpose of doing that app. Okay, capturing those ideas, so don't forget. All right, so we're back on this screen. Okay, so another thing that I noticed as he was entering data, what he did while he was, we did a Zoom call and he was entering a new record for a customer. And he filled out the customer information, and then he went over here and started entering car information. And what I have here is a save record button that saves the customer information. Now, as a app maker within PowerApps, we do not want to allow the users to go over on the other side, start entering the many relationship, because that's actually in a completely separate SharePoint list. If the first record, the customer, doesn't even exist, because whenever we hit save over here for the vehicles, what you'll notice here in this save button, we need to grab the record ID for the customer. And if that has not been saved yet, there is no ID. So you would be creating an orphan record at that point. So we want to keep that from happening. So I have notes of all the different revisions that I want to accomplish here. So I'm going to add over a rectangle. This is how I sort of block out the screen for users so they can't do anything at certain times or in certain situations. Whenever I have something that sort of blocks things off, and I also do this for spinners as well, I start with a rectangle and I make it white. And then I'll give it a alpha value of perhaps 85, maybe 90. Okay. And let me see that. So some of these controls have a border where this rectangle by default does not have a border. So I'm going to give it a border of 2. But then for the border color, I'm going to go in here. I'm going to say self.fill. Okay. So it's going to grab whatever value there. Okay, so this is sort of going to be grayed out or disabled, or I should say whited out. All right, so that's there. And perhaps we should put a little indication of why that's all sort of inactive or disabled for the user, because they might be, why can't I enter the car information? So we'll put a little message over here and say, please enter customer data and save first before entering vehicle information. So we'll do that. We'll make it a little bigger here. And we might want to make that centered. Okay. And okay, so I think we're here in the middle of this rectangle. It's trying to do all kinds of alignments here for me. Now, it's sort of hard to read, so perhaps what we need to do is make that alpha value for that white color be a little bigger. Okay, let's set it at 90. We might go with 95 because I actually want them to see that there really well. Okay, I like that. Please enter customer data and save the record first before entering vehicle information. Okay. All right, I feel good about that. Okay, so I will select both of these things. And if you want the visibility of a group of controls um, to be specified as a unit, I would always recommend creating a group. And now there's a group there. And then what you do at that point, um, there is a local variable we call new record. Okay, that's what we need to work with. So for this group 6 that was created, we'll go down to the visible and we'll set this up. If the new record, you could say, is true, okay. And in this case, there's already an existing record, so it's not going to display, right? Now, is there anything that bothers you guys about this? So the visible property of those two controls of this group, visible property for anything is going to be Boolean. It's going to be yes, no, true, false, Boolean. That's what Boolean means. And we could say if this Boolean value equals true. Hey, Toby, nice to see you. I think what you said in a previous stream is just to call you Toby. Hopefully, I got that right. But nice to have you. Thanks for coming on. I bet you're. I think you're on the other side of the world. So I think either it's like really early or really late there. So thanks for making the effort and joining me. So I don't feel so alone here, like I'm talking to myself. So nice to have you, man. Okay. So the question is, does this bother you guys at all? It bothers me as a previous developer, is that this value will return a true or false anyway. So typically, if in the programming world that I'm from, if you see something like this, a senior developer might, or a seasoned developer, or more experienced developer would say, "Why are you doing that? Just use the Boolean variable here." So if that is a new record, it'll return true, which will make this true. And I don't think it makes it all that more inefficient. It just it sort of looks like to me, and probably other developers also, that's a noob mistake, you know. And in the area of PowerApps, not everybody comes from that world, so it may not be that big of a deal. But I just sort of thought I'd share that context with you. Just no extra charge. All right, I got another comment here. Rachel, hi. I want to ask you. I want to ask what you did to the label that is not showing the text anymore. Okay, so what I did was, so that label was right here. Okay, so it's got those little things around it, and it's got this rectangle. So I can demonstrate. I can make that come back if I go back to customers. And instead of going into an existing record, I'm going to add a new customer. Okay. Now, what happened there? If I were to go back, I'll show you what happened. There's a button here that I clicked on, and I navigate to that new screen, and there was a new record. It's a local variable, context variable that is created when you pass values this way. And so that is set to true. Now, if I had clicked on an existing record here, went to on select, you see this new record is set to false. And then this record value, it grabs the current record and throws that in there. So when I click on that, that context variable is set to true. And in that case, this little grouping right here, the visible is set to true. And then if we were to add something in here, let's see, Darren, Neese, and if I were to save this record, it should, pop out. Now this is so I just uncovered a bug here. Isn't this nice? I don't know what happened there. That's really strange. So I guess that's a bonus for you guys to see how I handle that, right? So Rachel, I hope that answered your question of what I want to ask. What you did to the label that is not showing text anymore. So what I did is I grouped it with the rectangle, and then the three of them, the grouping, I set to that new record Boolean value. Okay, and that's what made it disappear there. So thanks for the question. Thanks for the engagement there. Okay, so now I want to know what just happened here. So who's this Thomas Romo, and where'd they come from? Rachel says, "That's awesome, Darren. Awesome, thank you." Yeah, so who's this guy, right? So record, okay. So this is how I troubleshoot stuff. Let's see if I can figure this out. So we have a label here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that variable. I'm going to say ID. It's 104. Okay, there's 104. And what I'm going to do is I am going to go into customers. I'm going to go, when you go to the data sources and you click on this ellipsis, which are the three dots, and you click on edit data. It's not going to edit the data. It's just going to bring up your SharePoint list. Okay, it's a quick and easiest way of getting there. Okay, now I'm going to sort the ID larger to smaller, and we can verify a few things. Number one, we got Darren Neese at the top, so this is the one I just entered, and then the last one is this Thomas Romo. Okay, so it went and got the latest record, but it didn't get the very latest record. So let's go look at our logic here on this save button because something's not right. So if it is a new record, so that was the case, it was a new record. So we did an insert by using defaults, and this is all the stuff that we put in there. And then down here, we set new record to false. We set up the record. We did a lookup for the phone. Okay. So my phone, I was being lazy and I just said Darren. And the phone number defaulted to this. Okay. So that is probably not the best way of doing that. So perhaps what I should have done here, we could go look for, we can still use the phone number. I was thinking, phone numbers would be unique, but I mean, have you guys ever worked with testers? Testers would do all kinds of stuff like this. They will enter all kinds of things you just didn't expect a user would. Something that would probably be more robust here is instead of a lookup, we did a filter on this, and the filter works just like the lookup. And then I could use last. So it's going to give us a full, so let's say there's a possibility that there are many people that have the same phone number in this case. Well, it's going to go get you the one that was last entered. So I have got an error. I see here some squiggly marks. Okay. I don't think I needed the parenthesis on the outside. I think I needed out here. Okay. We got all kinds of issues to fix here. It seems like. All right, so we are updating this context variable here. So what we had before, had that, and we had this. We did a filter. Let me move that down a little bit. Putting that into that variable there. Okay, I don't know why we have the parenthesis there. Okay, because we have a trim there, we do need another parenthesis there. Okay, so that should work. And then what I did was from here, I want to say sometimes indenting can sort of get things more straight for you while you're working with code, especially if you're nesting your expressions. So I want to do the last value out of this result set. Okay, and that should work. And I don't see any errors. Okay, so let's just try this all again. So look at customers, add a new customer, call this the new guy, and we're going to leave the phone number as is. And, perhaps we could put some validation in here. That would be a good idea, and just make that a requirement. We could do that. And so this text box, how many numbers we have a phone number? At the very least, at least in the United States, we've got, we have 3 numbers dash 4 numbers, and then we've got a 3-digit area code. Now, back in my day, and I'm a really old guy, a lot of times you'd call people in the same area code, and when you phone somebody before the age of cell phones, you didn't even include that. So I would say as long as there's at least 7 digits in there, but this could be up to you what in the application that you build, how many you want to require. I mean, we could require they always put, because in this day and age, you really do need, okay, so you got 7, and then you've got 3 more for this. So if they don't enter any parentheses or dashes, you're going to at least have 10 characters, right? Okay, so for the display mode for this button, what we could do is require certain things, okay? So if length of that text box, or the text in the text box, as long as that is over 9, which would include 10, right? As long as it's over 9, we're going to allow them to actually click on that button. Otherwise, I'm going to say display mode dot disabled. Okay. And whenever I add code like this, I hit format text, and that tells me there's no errors, and it makes my code prettier. And I always hit a Control S, save early, save often. So we always have these restore points. Okay. So now we can't even do that. So that will keep that from happening again. Okay. So I need to, and we could put some type of indication here. Like at least 10 characters, or we could say required. Typically required field is denoted with a star or an asterisk. Okay. So we could do that. I'm going to say 555 1 2 3 4. Now I'm going to hit the save button, and we should have no problem now. Okay, new guy. Okay, now this disappears. Now we don't need this little funny little label sticking around up here. I'm going to delete that, hit Control S. Make sure I always got my restore points. And then, so what have we fixed so far? We have fixed our tab order that he brought up, and something I took notes. He didn't complain about this, but I wanted to make it a little more user-friendly so they don't try to go over here, because he started typing things in here. I'm like, you need to save the customer first, man. So, but that's on me. I should have done that. So it's like little things like that maybe you don't think of initially that you should have in your applications. And over the years of developing many applications, you sort of like either hopefully think about it before the customer sees it, but if you don't, they'll point it out to you. Okay. So between customers and cars, disable the car save. I got that done. Okay. So orders screen. It says, okay, so now we fixed those 2 things. Let's go to the orders screen. So we have a listing of all of our orders here. And okay. Cost and hours are not populating. So perhaps when I go into one of these, so let me go, and I'm a little perplexed why the status is not being displayed here. Okay, and I think what was going on, perhaps there was an error as he was poking around and entering a record. I noticed that there's a problem. Let me just go in. I think what he did is he entered a new one. So I'm going to go click back here. Let me enter a car quickly here. I want to say Ford Mustang Black. I had a 1988 Ford Mustang that was black. It was one of my favorite cars. And you can make some of these required. I don't think he never specified they had to be required. So I'm going to hit save here. Okay, so here we have a vehicle, and we can just start a sale right from here. And that's what he did. And he really liked that. Okay, so we're looking at this. Okay, we got AC service. Okay, so we entered that while we were on the Zoom call together. So we entered that. Okay, cost and hours do not. Okay, so if I click on the plus sign, it's going to bring it over. And the question is AC service. Okay, so before I go on, I'm going to go over to job types. Okay, so job type. So this is the one that he entered, AC service, and he has a default cost, $145 in 2.5 hours. Okay, and it is active. So this information should have populated over. So what's great is somebody points out there's a bug in your application. The very first step in in resolving the issue is recreating the problem, right? Also, the first step of communication is duplicating. Somebody's talking to you. If the first step is like, did I hear that person right? You know. So yeah, we need to duplicate whatever problem or error is coming in. Let's see here. All right, Rachel, love the way it showed that it was saving. Yeah, absolutely. So that's my my spinner thing. So let me click on this, and so it should be set up on all the screens. Look at that, boom. I have got a really cool video. Let me go out here and show you. If you really like that, you're gonna like one of my other videos. I'm gonna go to videos here, and I'm gonna scroll down, and I'm gonna go look for a video if you are interested in it. Perhaps there's somebody else viewing this video that thought it was cool too, and they want to implement that as well. I think it's this video right here. It's it's got this lady here who's like waiting for the app. Like, why is this taking so long? So that's why I picked that thumbnail there. So you know what I'll do is I'll go into this video and I'll actually share the link so you don't have to go hunt for that if you're interested. And it's only a 10-minute video. It's not like one of my longer ones. All right, so I'm going to copy that, paste that in there. Very good. And so a lot of things that you might like in this application, this is built on my application template. And I have a whole playlist out there as well, if you're interested, that shows you how to build out the menu, how to build a application header bar at the top, and all that type of good stuff. It's over on playlist. And if you go over to, where's it at? How to create your own application template. And it's going to play the first video, isn't it? Yeah, I'm going to try to get out of that really quick. Okay, so it goes step by step. So for every application that I start, I am going to use my application template. And here's all the videos. If you want to build your own, you can do that. If you want to save your time and you have a project due tomorrow, you can just buy mine. The links are in a lot of my videos. I don't think I have it listed in this one. But it's out there. You can check it out, but you can also build your own. And I show you exactly how to do it. So we do one step at a time. So I think probably the link, if you're looking for them, is probably in this first one, probably in all of them, but especially that first one, I'll make sure it's in there. But how to create themes, you know, that have worked for me, and I love how my themes work. So for example, let me show you something cool. If you guys have never seen this, so Rachel says, yes, I am interested. Okay, cool. So I'm glad I'm covering this with you guys. If you go down, and by the way, it is Mother's Day today, and my wife expressed interest in going to the beach. So here in about 30 minutes, I'll need to be cutting out because I'm going to take her to the beach. But I wanted to show you as I work through these issues here and share it with you. But if I go to control, copy controls from here, I'm going to run this. And here's a bunch of themes here. So if I click on PowerApps purple, look at that. It changed the theme dynamically. Orange and blue theme. So I'll start off with this template. It's got all these themes already started, you know, and typically if somebody wants a theme, I'll start with something, or I'll ask, if it's a larger organization, they'll have a style guide. You guys have never heard of a style guide. It's something that the marketing department will typically create, or their art department, and they'll be like, hey, these are the colors and the fonts and the, you know, how we want this organization to be presented to the outside world. So if you're developing an application for us, use the style guide. If you're doing a publication for us, use the style guide. It's got all of our logos and our colors, and it will tell you, will indicate to you how you need to create something for the organization, and that's really nice. So I'll work directly from the style guide, but in this case, this is just what I would call a mom and pop shop, a garage, a single location. They're not a big chain. A single, an owner, family owned perhaps, and they don't really have perhaps like strong branding that you would associate with a large chain. So he just said he wanted a red application. So I just went to my red theme and just started using that. But we could use you could start and go with some other thing there. But so that was the theming, and I talk about application header. So this is a great video to start off with. If you've never created a component in PowerApps before, it's a great beginner level. This is how you create a component, okay? And then the next one is how to not only create a menu, but create it as a component. So it's a little more advanced, okay? Then we talk about implementing some type of like a basic security model in your application. So I've got, you build out a template like this, and then you just get used to all these features being there. So that's how I like to do my application. So the question is, why doesn't this cost? And I wrote this application so that it would come in here, and when you click on this little plus button, it's going to take whatever job type that you have selected here and throw it into another database table. So when we go in here, let's see here. We check to see if it's a blank order. And if it is a blank order, we set up a variable where we can later on grab that value. So we grab that order here. And you see how I double click on the word order? We have a type record. Okay. This formula has side effects and cannot be evaluated. Wow. Okay, so please, Rachel says, please, can you point me out what I can watch to create those themes? Absolutely. So those themes, it's right here. It's a 26-minute video, or 26 and a half. And I'll show you. Yeah, you just sort of step through. And the example that I use is doing a mobile app, but it would be the same if you're doing a tablet type of app or a mobile. Exactly the same. So what I'll do, if you want to know more about the themes, you want that video, I'll put that in there. Okay, very good. So that should post out there. All right, very good. So there's the link if you're interested in that. But thanks for asking. I appreciate that. All right, so we do that, and then we do a for all the items in the gallery order edit, and then we do a lookup and we patch it, and we've got the cost and estimated hours. That should be in there. Okay, it should be grabbing that. So let's look at these text boxes. We'll go over here and we'll look at default, and it's looking at the cost. So what's going on? It's a number. This formula uses scope, which is not presently supported for evaluation. Okay. Well, what we could do is another feature of my template is I've got these little hidden controls here, and I call this my debugging feature. And if you're interested in that, look over here where I talk about PowerApps tests and troubleshooting. So that shows you how to build out this little thing that I have here, where I can have like little secret labels that have useful information. So I can paste that in there. And so here's this little label here that users won't see, but I can see as I'm developing and debugging this app. So I've got, let's do a this item.id. Okay, it's 51. So if we go over here, we'll go into, I believe it's order jobs. And we'll just go look for that record. And we'll see if the data is in there. And here it is. Very good. But yeah, the cost and the estimated hours did not come over. Now, in past times, it did most of the time, it looks like. So I need to figure out what's going on. Do we have an order ID? Okay, that's good. So this is very typical stuff that you'll run into as you're debugging your application. Your clients will say, hey, stuff's not working. You need to fix this. So you need to be able to dig in and sort of figure it out. So this says, so that allowed me to find this. So if I click on that little thing again there, it hides all that. So this feature is just for me or other people that I designate as a debugger. Okay. And then, okay. So why isn't that happening? So that should be brought over right underneath this plus button on the click event. So something isn't happening just right. So we do a for all on the order edit jobs, and I believe that is this guy right here, order edit jobs. Okay. Okay. Hmm. Okay, I think perhaps the issue is right here. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. So what happened, what I found was the reason why I go through all the items here is I needed to do a refresh before I add a new one, and it was blanking them out. So the reason why I looped through all the records was to make sure the data was saved before I add any new ones. So for example, I was testing, I was entering stuff, and then I went up here to add another one. Click on the plus save, and that data wasn't saving, and that's a big problem that you don't want to have. Is you don't want your client, your customers, your users to be entering data, spending precious business time and money of entering data, and you find out that it was never saved. Oh my goodness. Talk about a big waste of time and money, right? So that's why I did that. Okay, so let me go back and look at that code again. So what's happening is I'm not getting cost, I'm not getting estimated hours. Okay. So I'm going to bring those two fields over and make sure they're in there. Now we're not going to grab it from any text boxes. We're going to go and we are going to grab the values from the job types. Yeah, this job type here. So I'm going to get this drop down reference, the reference to the name of the drop down. And I'm going to go down here and I'm going to say the cost. Well, it's going to be that dot selected. And we can go grab the cost. Default cost is what it's called. All right, very good. So we got that. We're going to reference that drop down again, and we're going to say dot selected, do the same thing, selected. And then we're going to say default or estimated time. Yeah, estimated time. All right. So there it is. So it should work. So let me look over all these other things here. Is there anything else that should be assigned as soon as they add something like assign tech ID? Well, we don't know that yet. They'll enter that later as they're working on that screen. Completion time, we don't know that yet because it hasn't been completed. So cost, we've estimated. Okay. I think that's it. I think that's what needs to be in there. And we say, let me look at this. There's job type details that need to be in there. Okay. So that is interesting. Okay. So that doesn't change. It's not editable. So it just looks it up. Okay, that's fine. So really those are the two things that, and these are job notes that are entered. They're not pulled for any dynamic values. Okay, so this should be good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this. Okay, now I'm going to add a new one of this type, this job type. Look, and it pulled it in. All right. Got another issue. Now, whenever you achieve something, when you've done something, hit Control S. Make sure you got the save point. So if you guys aren't familiar with that, go in the File pull-down menu, and they'll typically, if you go to the File menu, you'll see this as a Save button here. If you just saved, it's going to say Publish. That's how you know it's really saved. Click on See All Versions, and it's going to show you all the times it was manually saved and or published in the past 6 months. Okay, and so you want to create these restore points, because the undo feature of PowerApps is unreliable. So these little undos, it's unreliable. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Okay. Something else I want to show you is, if you look at this in your settings for your PowerApps app, save changes every 2 minutes. This is a browser level setting. So you could turn that off, but hey, it saves it every 2 minutes. It doesn't create those restore points though. So if I really foul up this application and I click on this little undo button up here by the play button, that's the redo. This is the undo. If you click on it and nothing happens, you're like, I just messed it up. What was it before? I don't remember. Or, I had a bunch of dynamic values. Everything was moving dynamically. And then I moved it manually, and then it reset everything to what I moved it to. Oh my goodness, you could have messed up 50 different values all in one accidental something, And if you hit that undo and it doesn't work, oh my goodness, you will be glad that you have been hitting Control S every 2 to 10 minutes or so. So anyway, I talk about that a lot. So I'm just going to move on. We've done the Control S. We fixed that problem. Make sales tax editable. Okay. So what he said down here, he can control the price of the total sale. So these values are not editable. Okay. In fact, they're a little grayed out, and I almost want the text for disabled to be black or near black so they can actually see it better. Okay. But it should be obvious that they can't edit it. Okay. The sales tax out in California apparently changes often. It's not like set in stone, has been that way for 20 years, and it'll probably be that way for the next 20 years. It could change maybe once a year, once a quarter, perhaps. So he expressed the need to have this sales tax to be dynamic. And I said, well, you don't want the people in your office to change that sales tax from hour to hour, right? It doesn't change that often. He said, no, but if you could have a setting. So if you guys remember a previous video, I set up a variable over here in the app on start. And if you look there, I've got a lot of default values set up. In one of the videos that we did together, we have the default state to set to California, the default city to Inglewood. Here's the default zip. There's the default area code. And here is the default tax rate. Okay. So we need to create ourselves a little table. And you know what else I'd like to do is we'll probably create a SharePoint list, very simple SharePoint list. And it's going to keep track of all the sales, the sales tax changes that have been made in the application, just for historical values. If they want to go back and said, oh, our numbers are messed up, what was the sales tax? We'll save off each order will have its own sales tax saved off. So it's not going to have to reference that sales tax by any means, but it might be a good idea to see a record of how the sales tax has changed in the system over time. And, perhaps the sales tax in California changed last month, and they just realized, oh, I need to change it. Well, they can go back and see at what point it was changed. All right. So let's add, so this is a new feature. So this isn't like a bug fix or anything. So let's add this feature. I don't think it's going to take much time. And, all right. So I'm going to create a new list, and I'm going to stay consistent. I like to start all my table names, at least in SharePoint. And in Dataverse, I don't like to do that in case you have model-driven apps. It sort of looks weird. But here in this case, nobody's using the SharePoint list directly. So I like all my table names to be popped up in the expression bar within PowerApps just by typing TBL, short for table. And they'll all be listed there. It's very convenient. So we'll do a table, and we will say here sales tax. This is okay. Yeah, I'm not thinking right. Sales tax. There we go. And we're not going to show navigation. I always uncheck that. I don't like all the entities be listed there. All right, so we're going to click create. And whenever I create a new list, I always go in here and make sure I always see that primary key. Okay, so it's listed there. I think the title, I'm just going to throw in something the user will never see. You know, I don't like to mess with the title. The title sort of like a sacred column used in SharePoint. I like to, I'll just put some unique value in there, perhaps the user's name or user's email address, and then also date timestamp. So I know it's unique if it needs to be referenced as a unique value. Or if, let's say, it's an employee, if it's a table that represents a person, they'll have a first and last name column, but I'll use a title perhaps as a, you know, like like a full name type of thing. Sometimes that's appropriate, I guess. Okay, for sales tax, I'm going to add in a column, and I'm going to make this to be a number. Okay. Number of decimal places. Well, I'm going to say 2. 2 decimal places. Okay. Now we'll say sales tax value. Okay. Now, if we look over here, when we created it in the app on start, I do a control N to go down to the very bottom because it's near here. It's actually, let's do 4 decimal places because we're going to take whatever value is, we're going to multiply by 100, and that's going to give us a percentage where we'll put that percentage character right behind it. Okay, so Rachel says, when you don't click on site navigation, is there any difference if you clicked on it? Okay. Now, so I don't know how, so this comment was made a minute ago. Okay. So are you talking about SharePoint here? Like over here on the side, I don't like to add it to the navigation. Is that what you're talking about? I think you're talking about SharePoint and not PowerApps. When you don't click on site navigation, is there any difference if you clicked on it? If you wanted to keep it in the navigation, there's no drawback to that. I just don't like this to be cluttered, you know, because sometimes you'll end up putting them there over the navigation and sometimes you don't. And somebody comes in, they see all these entities off to the side in the navigation bar here. I'm going to move my cursor over where I'm talking about right here. And they might, oh, where's it at? I don't see it. Oh my goodness. You know, I just train myself and I train other people, like go into site contents, you know. So let me just, I'm going to set this to 4. We need to have 4 decimal values in there. Okay. Click save. And I'm gonna go into this. Okay, Rachel says yes, SharePoint. Very good, thank you. So I just train people like, yeah, just let's go into site contents. Boom, let's go in there. So when you don't click on site navigation, is there any difference? There's no difference in the list. It's just whether it shows up here or not. Here or not. Now this is editable over here. You can go in. Let's go into site contents or site information. No, not site information. Site contents, perhaps. Well, there's all my list there. But there is some way to modify this. I think it's called the site navigation. It's going to bug me now that it takes a while for this little sprocket to show up on the side. There you go. All right. Okay, now we've site content, site information. I know I'm the site owner, So why don't I see either I'm having a brain fart here. Let's go into, yeah, where is the site usage? Yeah, what am I missing, guys? I've used SharePoint a lot, and I don't know why I'm not seeing it, or I'm having a brain fart. But it's pretty much the whole site settings. I'm looking for site settings. I think that's what it's called, and I don't see it there. But if you go in there, there's a little link, site information. Okay, so I click on site information. I see this. View all site settings. See, the thing is, man, Microsoft changes the stuff. Thank you, Toby. All right, so we'll go in here. There we go. All right, so we got the quick launch, and I think that's up at the top. And then you got navigation. So I've been using SharePoint since 2003, 2005, somewhere around there. And it's come a long way. It's changed a lot. All right, so we've got yeah, the quick launch. Okay, see this edit links, so you can change it there. So thanks very much, guys, and you're welcome. Yeah, very cool. Thanks, guys. All right, so I'm going to leave that there unless you guys have any more questions there. All right, so make sales tax editable. Okay, so I'm going to go home. I'm holding down my Alt key there to go. Now, I almost don't want to create a new screen for this if I don't have to. I just sort of want to make it really simple and easy. All right, I've got an idea, guys. I was thinking about having like a little rectangle over here for sales tax. I should probably not be lazy. Okay. And make a new button here. I'll copy and paste. Okay, I'll put this down here. And I'll say application settings. Okay, we'll do that. And then I have a screen called blank screen that I use for if I create, well, there's a new screen here that's got some stuff in it that I use on almost every screen. You know what? I might use that because I want a gallery full of all of the sales tax changes, and then over here I can modify them. So that actually works. I'm going to duplicate that screen so I don't have to start from scratch and do a bunch of work. All right, so got that. Just take some time. Now we need to name the screen right away. So we'll say, what do we want to call this? Instead of application settings, I think this should be sales tax because we'll have some information in here that will take up the whole screen. So we'll say edit, or I like the word manage sales tax. And it's a recommended practice, guys, to put in screen. Okay, I'm gonna take that. And I always want to make sure all these screens are in the right order. So all the, yeah, my new screen and my blank screen are down here. I'm going to move this down a little bit. Okay. I'm going to go into home and I'll make it navigate here. And instead of this button text be application settings, I'm going to say manage sales tax. Right. So now if well, first of all, I need to make sure this menu's on top. I always do this. If I add anything, and then I got to make sure the spinner's on top. Okay. So now I'm going to hold down Alt. I'm going to click on this button and it's going to take me to that new screen. Okay. All right. So our current sales tax, let's go get that value. We're on the application on start. I'm going to hit Control N to go to the bottom. I'm going to scroll up a little bit. I'm going to grab this number here. And I'm just going to enter it in here. Let's go there. Let's go into site contents. We'll go to TBL sales tax. Go in here. And let's add a new value. And we'll say Darren Neese 5/8/22, 4 p.m. There's the sales tax information. I'm gonna hit save. There we go. All right. Right. So what we will do, every time that sales tax information is changed, I'm not going to update a record. I'm always going to add a new record. And in order to grab the sales tax, I'm going to go into that table and grab the last value. Okay. So for this guy here, instead of you looking at screen use, I'm going to look at TBL sales tax. You know what? I haven't added it yet. So let me hit undo and see if it brings it back. Okay, so that time the undo worked. I'm going to go into SharePoint, add the SharePoint connector. There is my, very good. There's PowerApps data, and there is sales tax. I'm going to add that. TBL, sales tax. Very good. There we go. Haha. Okay, this is looking good. All right, so for this label here, I'm going to say tax, sales tax value. All right, Toby. Darren, today I noticed I couldn't reorder a label using send backwards twice. Is it a glitch from my end? You notice, something I noticed recently, I was messing with the moving things forward and backwards, and the only time I've not seen that work is that if things were grouped, and sometimes that all gets messed up. So I guess the question to you is, do you have things in groups? That's the only time I've seen that glitch out. So if that is the case, you could either ungroup, move things around, and then regroup, or which might be a lot of work if you have a lot of things in groups, is that you keep on saying move back, or move forward. In your case, it was send backwards. Send backwards should put it to the very back, right? Something I sort of want to show you guys on a related note, and Toby said, yes, that is the issue. Okay, very good. Yeah, so I've noticed that. Like I've got this spinner in a group, and in one of my applications, I threw the menu in there because always when I want to make sure the spinner's on top of everything, the first thing I do is to make sure the menu's on top of everything, and then I put the spinner on top, and I put the menu in there, and sometimes the order got really sort of weird. And as PowerApps developers, things are still in development, or there's still a lot of improvement, but PowerApps gives us such great features and such a rapid application development platform to work with. I'm just thankful that there's so many upsides to PowerApps, and in my opinion, there's not many downsides. So sometimes things work a little weird, and you just sort of get used to them and learn to work around them, and then eventually, I believe that Microsoft fixes those. Okay, something I want to show you guys. Okay, so here's this rectangle, and I'm going to rename this rectangle. Say RET for rectangle, short for rectangle. I'll say move me. And I don't prefix rectangles with REC because I don't want anybody to get rectangles confused with records. So I'll rename it that. Here is a little shortcut that I like on the keyboard is Control left bracket. Watch it move around. So that's a little, like if you need to move something around a lot, instead of having to right click and keep doing this over and over again. Let's say you don't need it at the very bottom. Maybe you need it somewhere down here instead of right clicking over and over like that. Oh my goodness, that keyboard shortcut is so handy. And then the Control right square bracket brings it up. Okay. To show you guys that. So Toby says, thanks for clarifying. Well, you're welcome. Very good. All right. So we have the sales tax here, and I want to display that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this label back a little bit. And you know what we should do here is, yeah, Rachel says, wow, that's cool. Yeah, I thought so. I didn't stumble upon that myself. I think somebody on Twitter mentioned that. Unfortunately, I don't remember who it was, but somebody pointed that out. I'm like, oh man, that's awesome. Now, what I want as a shortcut is to move screens. Like I created the screen, and any new screens, a lot of times they're app admins. I want to move them down on this list. I want a keyboard shortcut, and I thought I saw that somewhere, then I forgot it, or it was a figment of my imagination, or I was dreaming. But where did I just go? I just clicked on one of these screens here and I think I messed myself up. There we go. All right. So we've got that. Probably what we should do is, okay, that is a number and we need to multiply that by 100. Okay. And then I'm going to put parentheses on down here to force the order of precedence. And I'm going to splice together a string now, and I'm going to use a percentage. Okay. And also we should probably use text here. And we'll give it a format of 0.00. Okay. So there's the percentage. There's the sales tax. And then I'm going to copy and paste that label, move it over a little bit here. What else should we display here? I really don't care who changed it. Maybe that is important. Okay, so for here, this item, I don't want to grab title. I want to grab created by display name. All right, Armando. Yeah, so I am using an account under the name Armando. Obviously, you guys know my name is Armando. Okay, so we have that. And then I also want to know when it was changed. So I'm going to copy and paste. Okay, and I'm going to put this here. And then I am going to say created when it was created. So it's got a date and time. That's great. Is there anything else that we want to display here? Probably not. And if we encounter something later, we can always add it. Okay, so I think the only thing that they should be able to specify is the value. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to make this a number so they can only put numbers in here. And I'm going to say sales tax 4-digit number. I'm going to make this longer. Okay. I'm going to put a hint text in here. And we're going to say 0.0725. Sort of show them the type of value that we're expecting to go in there. So Marcin, hopefully I pronounced your name right. Marcin says hi. Hello. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for stopping by. All right, so we've got the little tax information there. And the only thing that we're going to do here, I'm going to hide this button for now. I'm going to go down here to visible. And I've got a variable set up in all my applications called var show debugging. And I don't want the user to see it. So instead of deleting it, I just hide it from the user. So Victor says, hi there, better late than never. Glad to have you, Victor. You can always go back and watch from the beginning. Think I do not get notified when you're live, even though I'm subscribed and been following you for quite some time. And bell is ticked for all. Oh, that's weird. Well, sorry to hear that. Now, this was sort of a spur of the moment. I was about to work on it. And then as I started working, I'm like, perhaps people would like to see this stuff. So what I did do is I scheduled it probably 30 or 40 minutes in advance. So that's strange. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. Now, when I do stream, I'm streaming on YouTube. I'm streaming on LinkedIn. If you don't see me on LinkedIn, also on Twitter. Now on Twitter, I have a link to my LinkedIn, and then I've got a Facebook page. I have a Facebook profile. I have a Facebook group. And I'm streaming everywhere I can. So I think I'm streaming on 4 different platforms and in like 6 or 7 different places on those 4 platforms. So if you follow me on all these different places, you'll see I'm coming online. And I think the best experience for the streams are probably YouTube, but like Rachel's on LinkedIn. I think that's it for this live stream. Is we've got LinkedIn and YouTube. So hopefully that changes for you, Victor, in the future. And what I need to do is I need to get on regular schedules. And I am definitely wanting to live stream every single Saturday at least. I'm a family man, so I got a wife and I have 6 kids. 3 of them live with me right now, and I've got my responsibilities through the week. And I do a little bit of freelancing, and of course, I have a YouTube channel, so I got a lot going on. So it's really hard for me to schedule something at a specific time. But if I know I'm going to definitely go live the next day or something, I'll try to schedule that more ahead of time so you guys can see those. So thanks for stopping by. I apologize that you didn't get that notification beforehand. But okay, so we are allowing them to enter new sales tax. So every time they enter something here, I'm going to call this new sales tax. Okay, do that, and in this button, we are going to go in here. Oh, look at that! So we got the little show spinner, true. So when we do a database operation, it's going to show that spinner. So we're going to do a patch PL sales tax. Okay, then we're going to take that. Well, we need defaults, right? If you're just doing an insert, you need to use a function called defaults. Do that, we'll do a comma, and then we'll use some curly braces there. And then what we will specify, we want to specify the title. So that's going to be the user, and email should be unique, right? All right, so then we'll do tax, sales tax value, and we'll reference that text box, and we will say .text. Now you realize the text property of a text box is going to have a string value. Even though we're only allowing numbers, we need to say value, wrap a value function on it, make sure it's actually a number before we send it over there. And what do we have here? What type of error is it giving us? It's just complaining. Name isn't valid. Really? Oh, it's table. I thought for some reason I had the text box value on my clipboard and I did not. I think I copied the name of the table first. Yeah, so it's the text box. Okay, very good. So we're going to throw that in there. What else do we need to do? That's pretty much it. I didn't want to make this too complicated. So let's add 0825. Let's add that. Oh, where did I go wrong? Okay. Okay. This is good that we're doing this together. This is typical stuff. All right. So I said 825. Okay. So okay. Did I enter any dot in there? Because it should have been dot. That's what it should have been. All right. So there we go. And then also what I want to do is we need to sort this. So I want the current sales tax to be, let's sort this, and we'll do a sort on the created, and it needs to be a descending order. Okay, so the very latest change will be at the top. Okay, so then we can put stuff over here. Let's just move this down a little bit. Let's move it down by the save button, okay? Move that all the way down. And so we got some more room up here we can mess with. And then, we could like some labels up here, and we'll say current sales tax. Okay, and we'll copy and paste that. You know what? Let's just use the same label. I want to make this a little bigger. I want to make the font a lot bigger. Let's say 18 point. Maybe make it even bold. Okay. Then what we will do is we will we have a variable that we set up at the very beginning of the application. Control N to go down the very bottom and scroll up a little bit, and then we find the var default tax rate, and that's what we're going to use. So we'll go in here, and we'll actually use that variable there, and we need to put a space in there, and then we need to say, multiply that by 100. And we need to do text 0.00. Do percentage there. All right, I think that looks good. I might move this down a little bit. And I might want to make this a little different of a color to make it stand out a little bit. Maybe a dashed line. What do you guys think? We could put in a left 15. All right. So there's the current tax rate. So then what we also need to do is we need to set that variable again. So we'll say set. I forgot what the meaning of the variable was. Okay. So let's set that up to be that. All right. So now if we change it to something crazy, let's say we got a 10% sales tax. We save that. It's going to change it there. Now, do you guys notice that that label was on top of the spinner? So whenever you add anything to the screen, we always got to make sure the menu's on top. Boom. Spinner's on top. So it changed it to 10%. Okay. Very good. Now, what I want to do is whenever we go up here to the app on start, we need to go get the very latest of the sales tax. And we're going to do that. Okay, that's going to be the default for now. And we could comment that out, really. The best thing to do. But we should get this from the TBL sales tax SharePoint list. Right. All right. Paste. Okay. So instead of that, what we're going to do is we are going to get the last value of TBL sales tax, and we'll grab the sales tax. That should work. All right, so let's try this out, guys. I'm going to click on the ellipsis here, these three dots, and say run on start. Okay. And it says 10%. I'm going to hit Control S because we've done a lot. We haven't saved, created that restore point recently. All right, very good. So it's got the 10%. It grabbed the right value. So what happens? What happens if I mess that up? Let me try to mess that up a little bit here. Let's create a. I want to like set that variable to some weird value, and this is going to be a throwaway button on the on select. I'm just going to set this to 0.234. Okay, and I'm gonna hold down Alt. I'm gonna click on that button, and now, yeah, I really messed that up, huh? Click on it. Okay, you got 12%. Okay. Now, did we? Should be a 4-digit number. Okay, so the point is it's sort of messed up. So now I'm going to go up here to app. I'm going to click run start, and it should grab in the 10%. That's what should be happening. And it did that. Okay, so I don't need that button anymore. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the sales tax to be back what it was. So it's going to be 0.0 725. That is the current sales tax, I believe. Current sales tax, California. Ooh, that's what he told me. He said it actually varies by like county and city. I'm like, ugh. Okay. So what is our default city? Inglewood. Let's go look for, well, let's look for the zip code. How about that? It actually is 10%. So there's local sales tax. Oh my goodness. I'm going to leave it to where he told me before. So it's going to be the 725. I'm going to hit run. I'm going to hit save. So that's going to be the latest change. So that's going to be good. All right, guys. Well, do you guys have any other questions, comments that you'd like me to talk about here? That's pretty much it. There was one more thing that I might spend more time sort of looking at. And I'm sort of out of time right now. So I'm going to bring this to a close. And I think we are at, well, we're at an hour and 20 minutes. The time just seems to fly by. So if you're still around, thanks for viewing. If you have any comments, especially if you have any app ideas at all, if you wouldn't mind, I think I do have a link up in the chat text. It's probably one of the first comments I left up here in the live chat. So any ideas for future live streams or any video ideas, please fill out this MS forms for any video ideas. So I'll add it to my SharePoint list and I will put it in my backlog of videos to do or things to talk about. Guys, thanks so much for viewing. Thanks a lot. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.